For me, and I think in this I speak at least for any Scot today, this is a proud moment. A new stage in a journey begun long ago, and which has no end. This is a proud day for all of us. A Scottish Parliament, not an end, but a means to greater ends.
Today, that journey begun long ago continues, but are we now heading in a new direction? This afternoon, in the same building where Donald Dewar shared that proud moment, the UK government revealed its plans for our future.
The Calman Commission was established with the support of the Conservatives, Labour and the Liberal Democrats, and we proceed now on that firm footing. That is as it should be. Far-reaching reform requires consensus. So it was with the Scottish Constitutional Convention, and so it is now.
By no coincidence whatsoever, it's St Andrew's Day, as the world's biggest search engine has been reminding us. But if this is a fork in the road, Scotland arrived here nearly 4 years ago.
I heard a rumour. I think we won the election.
In the spring of 2007, for the first time since devolution, a party committed to full independence took control of the Scottish government.
Sé la Morsho. It's a big day, as they say in Gaelic.
They launched the National Conversation, a consultation designed to lead to a referendum on independence.
Just as it's right that the people of Scotland will be given clarity on what independence will mean, so too they will seek clarity from others as what is meant by terms like federalism or greater devolution.
The Unionist majority at Holyrood wanted to offer that clarity, but by engaging in a different kind of conversation. They asked Sir Kenneth Calman to chair the Commission on Scottish Devolution, to see if Holyrood might get more power while keeping Scotland firmly within the Union. The two debates continued in parallel until last year, when the SNP accepted that, as a minority government, they had no chance of getting a referendum bill through Holyrood before the election. Which brings us to today. Calman has inspired a command paper called Strengthening Scotland's Future, and the Scotland Bill to make it happen.
This is a really important moment for devolution, the new chapter which will give real clout to the Scottish Parliament over financial affairs and give it real accountability so that decisions over spending are matched by the decisions about the taxes we pay. We believe that this package is right for our time and will pass the test of time. That's the really important thing, and I'm very pleased that we're bringing it forward today.
Holyrood's tax powers are at the heart of the matter. Under the legislation, Holyrood would set a Scottish income tax rate each year. It'd apply equally to the basic and higher rates. It'd mean MSPs could reduce taxes in Scotland, although they'd be cutting Holyrood's income as a result. The quid pro quo, a 35% reduction in the block grant Scotland currently gets from the Treasury. For the first time, the Scottish Government would be able to borrow money. That could be handy in smoothing out fluctuations in income tax receipts. It could also be the key to big capital projects like a new Forth crossing.
And I welcome the fact there's a Scotland Bill, and I welcome the fact that at last they acknowledge that Scotland has a government. There's certainly the smaller proposals, which are good things for Scotland, but the key financial proposals are a threat to Scotland's finances and Scotland's public spending. Now, we've managed to correct some of the deficiencies, but I suspect in the bowels of the London Treasury, this legislation might do what they've always wanted to do, and that is to cut Scottish public spending.
This is how the cake gets sliced at the moment. Income tax is the government's single biggest source of income, and in future Holyrood would get to control a proportion of that. But it's just over a quarter of Westminster's takings. National insurance, excise duties, corporation tax and VAT are other major sources, and they'd still be reserved to London. There's also business rates, council tax and other taxes, bringing the current total to almost £550 billion. The bill envisages that most of Scotland's share of that would continue to reach Holyrood via Westminster. And while the legislation would devolve stamp duty and landfill tax, oil, gas and whisky money would still belong to Westminster. The First Minister says if the law was already in place, Scotland would already be out of pocket.
If it's going to be less cash, and I think that's what the Treasury are interested in, they want to give Scotland less cash, then that is a substantial disadvantage. So these things have to be examined. We can bring forward amendments to improve and enhance them, but the arbitration job that will really be done is by the Scottish people next May, and that's how it should be. Let the Scottish people judge whether this is good for Scotland or whether we can do much better.
Which raises the question, would the new tax measures ever be used? After all, Holyrood's current tax varying powers have gathered dust since devolution. In the run-up to the first Holyrood election, the UK government cut income tax by a penny, but the SNP said they wouldn't implement it in Scotland, they'd use the money for public spending instead. The proposal bombed at the ballot box. As earlier campaigners have learned, it's better to accuse your opponents of wanting to raise taxes and actually do it yourself. Among the other proposals, control of drink driving, speed limits and air guns will also be devolved. But there will be no referendum this time round. While Alex Salmond says next May's election will fill that role, the UK government says it's already happened.
This package got the endorsement of most Scots at the last general election. It has got cross-party support, not just from the government but from the Labour Party too, and we intend to put it into action as quickly as possible.
Ultimately, this might not be a fork in the road, more like another big step down the route laid out in 1999. Whoever wins the arguments over money.
The Scottish Parliament adjourned on the 25th day of March in the year 1707 is hereby reconvened.
It may be that, as Donald Dewar said, Scotland is on a journey which has no end, but there is a direction of travel. The story of devolution has been of ever more power being given to Holyrood, and so far the Scots have shown little appetite for pausing on their journey, far less turning back.